The sector isn't completely unsupervised, however. The International Maritime Organization, a specialized agency of the United Nations, is recognized as the main regulatory body of the industry and has been praised for its efforts in curbing pollution so far.
Measurement, reporting and verification, which is a condition every country must have for you to implement your NDC, a nationally determined contribution. In that MRV, three things are involved, okay? One is the greenhouse gas. Everybody's talking about greenhouse gas, the volume of pollution that has been in the maritime sector, right? All the sectors, all right? Where we gather them, we got to know them. Then you also develop your NAMA strategy, your nationally appropriate mitigation action, intervention projects. These projects that we use to address these climate change issues, or these challenges, externalities. And the third one, once you have done your NAMA strategies correctly, you get the third aspect, which is the support.
But with no tangible target going forward, critics accuse the International Maritime Organization of lacking urgency and generally moving too slowly on the issue. Meanwhile, the third International Maritime Organization greenhouse gas study estimates that for the period between 2007 and 2012, on average, shipping accounted for approximately 2.7% of annual global carbon dioxide emission.
The international shipping has become very, very large, and it will continue to be large. Hopefully, as we are going green, a lot of things, most of these cars on roads will be off, and a lot of ships will have to come in, moving goods from country to country. There has been a continuous increase in the rate at which the fossil fuel are injecting carbon dioxide equivalent into the atmosphere. On August 13, 2016, the world exceeded over 400 parts per million. That is, for every million molecules of air, we exceeded over 400 in terms of carbon dioxide equivalent, which was really raising the temperature to a level that everything was coming. We are nearly moving to a point that if care is not taken, we continue to really move the whole world into another thing.
Shipping carbon dioxide emissions already increased by approximately 70% since 1990. Under a business-as-usual scenario, if other sectors of the economy reduce emissions to keep global temperature increases below 2 degrees Celsius, shipping could represent a whopping 10% of global greenhouse gas emissions by 2050. The International Maritime Organization in July 2011 approved the Energy Efficiency Design Index. This is the first globally binding climate change standard. The index applied to 180 countries and entered into force on the 1st of January 2013. The Energy Efficiency Design Index requires new ships to become more energy efficient with standards that will be made increasingly more stringent over time. Earlier in 2005, the International Maritime Organization introduced regulations for the prevention of air pollution from ships, which became mandatory for all internationally trading vessels above 400 gigatons. Known as MAPO 7378 Annex 6, the regulations contain a schedule of tightening emissions limits for nitrogen oxides and sulfur oxides.
It does concern us in many ways. When you emit carbon monoxide and nitrogen and sulfur into the atmosphere, indeed affects the climate, and over time it contributes to global warming, which will have its impact on our environment. You begin to see coastal erosion, flooding, and all derivative implications of what happens whenever you have climate change issues and global warming issues. And so indeed it will affect Nigerians. Yes, ships emit it, but they contribute to carbon footprint and they contribute to climate change issues.
In a bid to ensure that the ships plying the Nigerian waters comply with international standards, the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency plans to monitor and control greenhouse gas emissions from shipping in line with the Kyoto Protocol and the International Maritime Organization standards.
The IMO has put a cap on the amount of sulfur and nitrogen dioxide you can emit into the air. The amount of sulfur that is contained in the fuel that your ship uses, which you can emit to the air. What we have done today is to begin the process of raising awareness and consciousness so that those who own vessels, those who operate vessels, must comply with the fuel quality prescribed by the IMO. The fuel quality must not contain more than a certain amount of sulfur, must not contain more than a certain amount of nitrogen dioxide, because it contributes to climate change.
Recently in Lagos, NEMASA vowed to stop vessels with high amounts of sulfur in fuel that allows for emission of carbon dioxide into the air from berths at the nation's seaports.
Nigeria is already a party to MAPOL. What we're dealing with now is the technical Annex 6, which has to do with pollution from ships. And ships are expected to carry on board their vessels a certificate that shows that they are complying with the provisions of Annex 6 of MAPOL. And if your vessel do not get certified, you may not be allowed to call in our ports or in our territorial waters. And so a number of things initiatives have been put together to ensure that vessels comply. Vessels coming to our ports or calling within our territorial waters comply with the provisions of MAPOL Annex 6.
How soon is it starting?
It's in effect already. What has happened is that in terms of compliance, we are now taking it to the next level. We're beginning the enforcement of compliance. The rules have come into force already. What we are now doing is to ensure that vessels calling in our waters comply with the provisions of this annex, which limits the amount of sulfur content in your fuel, the amount of sulfur and nitrogen that you can emit into the atmosphere.
NEMASA's Marine Environment Management Department is responsible for ensuring a clean marine environment through the implementation of all relevant International Maritime Organizations conventions. This responsibility is expected to achieve a friendly marine environment free of pollution that will enable shipping activities to be conducted in a conducive and healthy setting. It will also prevent the extinction of marine lives, thus the food chain will remain unaltered and human existence will be assured.